Hey everybody, hope you guys doing alright. So I'm feeling much better today. Yeah, and I just want to say it's fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. So seeing Steven Crowder wearing, Jesus has risen or is risen. I forget exactly how he chose to word it. My morale was uplifted to see that. Um, for his own spirit, and just because in my opinion this is a spiritual battle, to see more people, especially people with a huge media influence such as his, portraying that message, in my opinion, I think that can do nothing but good for the rest of the world. Because if you really look at Jesus' message, it's all about love and turning the cheek and doing the right thing and taking care of things. So the world definitely needs more of that. um, so anyway, thank you, Stephen. Just for my, I'm saying thank you because I enjoyed seeing that, and in my opinion, it's good for the rest of the world. So thank you. But I also just want to say too, I know yesterday I made a video about growing up in a passive aggressive atmosphere, and that's, my parents are totally, they agree. Like, yeah, we have lived a very passive aggressive lifestyle here. Um, Now, I am the type of human being that can change very quickly. So I think this is also part of the reason why I've always wanted to leave my house. I've always wanted to get out into nature, just to leave. And then once I started realizing the realness of the streets, that became very appealing to me. So I think that's part of the reason why I've always enjoyed. A part of me really does enjoy living on the streets, is because there is none of that passive aggressiveness. Really, and that's not true. There's small elements, but there's much more realness on the streets than there is in this particular household. But when I spend a lot of time in this household with my parents, and I don't go outside, and I don't socialize, and I don't speak up, and I do a lot of drugs, and I just lay in my bed and watch TV all the time, I absorb that passive aggressive energy much, 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 much more, and I become much more passive aggressive. That side of me just comes out and is that much stronger the more energy I pay to it, just like anything. Um, so I think, just in case anybody was confused, that's just who I am. I'm the type of dude that, like I said, I can go from being low, like feeling like I can't do anything at all, to feeling like I'm a god. I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying sometimes I can feel that way, and sometimes I can also feel like a piece of shit, like literally just like nothing but shit smuttered on the ground, smelling everything. So I go in between a lot of things. I think this is part of the reason why somebody like me, and the Lord God has used other people like myself who have very tumultuous lives at times, is because, it's through the endurance of the sin, it's through the perseverance of the challenge, it's through, getting through the hardships, and, finding God in the midst of your crossroads. Because that's what happened to me when my friend abandoned me, and took the money that we had shared together to get a place together, and he left me, and he fucking, discontinued his phone number, and he also said some very choice words to me that it was just like, it just had to, like, it just, like, kind of like, what's that term when you just, you gotta like just push the iron in a little bit more at the very end. That's kind of what happened. So it was very upsetting for myself, and I was left alone, just not really knowing what the fuck to do with my life. And that's when the 13 Sons videos came across my YouTube, and I started watching them, and from that first video I was hooked, and I was like, oh shit, this resonates with why I'm here. This makes sense to everything that's going on in my life. And I just kept on watching and watching and watching and watching. And then that's when I got into spirituality and faith, and I started getting my shit together. But I had to go through all of that hell. I had to get abandoned. I had to go through all the drugs. I had to go through all the stealing, all the depression, all the crying, all the sickness, all of that shit. And still, even once I found 13, I still had to deal with tons of sickness, just that I'd perpetuated, all that momentum I had. It still took a long time to get rid of all of that shit. So I'm still working on it. And it's been like 7, 8 years since I first saw his videos. But I have made progress. And that's the point that I like to focus on, is about progress. It isn't about being perfect. It isn't about waking up and being enlightened and being able to, shine and smile and, radiate all this beautiful energy. Although if you can, that's great and good for you. But it's about the progress. Every day is a new day. You take a step in the right direction and you get stronger, and you keep moving in the right direction. And before you know it, maybe you will be able to radiate beautiful sunlight and lovely energy and all these things. But you take it as you can, and you keep making that one step forward. And I think that's what the word of Yahushua and the Most Highs and love is all about, is about that progress, making that progress and not backsliding and not beating yourself up, and knowing that God did not forsake you. That's one of my things too, is I wake up feeling like I'm forsaken. And it's like, no, that's not God talking to you. That's a demon. That's a demon trying to get you to fucking get into your own self-destructive cycle where you think everything's against you, where you think you're your worst own enemy, which I can be, but that's not God talking to me. That's my own fucking demon wanting me just to stay in this pitiful cycle of hell, because that's where it is comfortable. That's where it has power, is when it is in control of me destroying myself. It gets more power. There is something that wants to turn me into a dark Brian, just like there is for everybody else. That's the resistance. That's your shadow. That's your it. You got to learn how to deal with that shit and know it, identify with it, and then move away from it. Put it in its place. Everything does have a place. If there's a time when you're ever getting attacked, or you have to, you fight for something, for survival, for something righteous, you may need that demon that knows how to fight, that knows how to hurt, essentially to destroy, to do that. But it can be done in a way that actually helps perpetuate life or save a life instead of actually hurt a life. But in order to have that mastery, you got to know how to deny that demon and put it in its place. So there is a time and place for everything, and and everything isn't as black and white as it appears to be. And that's part of the problem of the mainstream, Bible culture or traditional culture today is people, they label these things either evil or good, and they don't, there is a middle ground. There is, a way to help people transcend from one to the other without just straight up enabling them evil. Like, there's so many different sides to human beings that you just, it can be very ostracizing. It can actually make things worse when you just point the finger and say that somebody's purely evil because they did one deed in their life. And it's like, that's just one moment in a whole lifetime of things, and you're judging that person for that one moment. It's just not fair, and I don't think it's true or even accurate, because we're made up of everything that we do, not just one instant. So yeah, we may do some fucked up shit, but we also do some good shit. It's like labeling somebody a drug addict. Like that's all they are, is just a drug addict. Like, that's something that's been in my life with a lot of prevalence, because I've been a drug addict, and so I know what it feels like to get that label, to just be labeled this one thing, and it's like, that's all you guys think I am, is a drug addict. Like, so anyway, the same thing can be said for evil. And I'm not even, I come off very passionate a lot of the times, but I don't really hate these people, or I'm not even really against them. I'm more frustrated with the rest of humanity, because I feel like the writing's been on the wall for some time now, and I continue to see humans not talking about solutions. Like, it's time. It's solution time. It's time to change things. Like, we have all this information. This is an opportunity. Right now, we have an opportunity to change. Okay, but opportunities don't last forever. You don't want to miss out on them. Okay, so people, I think, are under an illusion that this opportunity will be here forever, and that is not true. Change is the one constant in the universe. This opportunity will not be here forever. We have a time now to use what information we've learned about what's really going on in our government, in the world, and also what type of things we can do about it to change it. But it's up to us to actually make the decisions, and we can't, in my opinion, we can't rely on anybody else but ourselves. If other people want to help us, cool, but we need to take more action as human beings, as represented, in my opinion, Christians who represent the word of Christ, because Christ is all about action. In my opinion, more than anything, it's about action. And I think that's a big problem today in today's churches and Christian, and just the whole mentality of Christ, is it's a lot of speaking. There's a lot of talk, but how much action is actually being done? If there's over 200 million Christians in America, there's probably over 1 billion in the world. The numbers are in our favor. We just need more action. We need more leadership. We need more resources put in the right way. So again, this is another reason why I get frustrated when people put so much emphasis in Trump, and they associate him with being this really good and beautiful Christian. And I'm not saying that he's not a Christian or that he's even a bad guy. I'm just saying, don't overestimate him. Don't put him on some pedestal that he doesn't deserve. If he's not talking about starving children and about really combating these evils in a spiritual manner, because if you're going to go into that spiritual manner, that spiritual warfare, the first place you want to start working, well, first on yourself, and then once you have your shit together, then it's the next things in need, which are starving children. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see anything more important other than your own, bodily needs, than starving children. And some people would even say that a man's bodily needs aren't even as important as a children's bodily needs. But yet here again in America, we are surrounded by multimillionaires all over the place, plenty of food, too much food. We suffer from obesity rather than starvation. And yet, we're sitting here, tooting our own violin like, we have all these horrible problems in the world. And, it's just, it's not true. There's other places that are hurting much, much, much more. And then on top of that, we're coming off like we're this high and mighty thing that's been, taken advantage of and victimized. And meanwhile, we have no idea that we're the ones that have actually been perpetuating a lot of this evil. So it's just, humanity's got its head up its own rear end in some manners, to different levels and extents and angles. But in my opinion, that's just kind of the consensus that it feels right now, and it's there for a reason. So that's okay. Like I'm working towards being less angry at it, because being angry at the situation doesn't really help the situation at all. And that's what I feel I came here to do, is to help it out. So instead of getting crazy and irate about these things, I want to try to be a little bit calmer and just present the facts as they are, and try to just lead people in the direction that I think Christ wants us to go. So, all right, I love you guys. Hope you have a good day. Bye.